Welcome back to the DFS Sweatshop. I am your host, of course, the DFS Jerusalem, and you can follow me on Twitter at DFS Jerusalem. Today, we're going to be breaking down the slate for the 14th. Also, going to be talking a little bit about what happened last night. We're gonna talk about what happened last night, as well as jumping into what we can expect for tomorrow's slate. And I'm gonna start this, okay? Throwing out every day, as you know. I sent out a tweet. I'm like, yo, who is gonna be tonight's gang stack of the night? And unfortunately, it was nobody on this list. It was the Minnesota Twins, a team that we did talk about a lot in the line job at 5. And it always pains me when we are so close to where we need to be in order to really take down some stuff, man. But it's kind of like when the kids jump out of the mystery van, okay, and they're looking for something. They're searching. You got Scooby Doo, you got Shaggy, everybody, Daphne. They're all looking for something, and that's how we were today, looking around for what seemed to be the Minnesota Twins, as they were definitely the gang stack of the night. But in this particular graphic, what you're going to see here, what's up, John Adams, big homie? What you're going to see here is a few of the stack options that I had. The Toronto Blue Jays fell flat on their face. The Detroit Tigers were not horrible. The Boston Red Sox were okay. The Yankees were not very great so far. We just saw CC Sabathia, I think, lead the game with some sort of injury there for him. So it was a very tough night for me, man. It's so bad that we can go over on DK, man, and I can kind of show you a little bit about what's happening. You can imagine I'm currently winning $14 back of my buy-in, and I had about 56 invested. So not a great night for me. The best lineup that I have right now, let's go ahead and check it out. One that's winning. Okay, this is my best lineup right here. Feldman, who's getting hit. Urena was a good play. Got Sanchez, Smoke, Gordon, Lamb, Seager, Blackman, Ozuna, Yelich, Blackman with 0. This was tough, man. It was a very tough one for me today, and I am chomping at the bit to jump into tomorrow's slate. Now, we've got 15 games there. We're going to have a few games in the early. Edwin Neves just jumped in, man. Good to see you, fam. So those of you out in the YouTube world, if you're not following me on Twitter, go ahead and hit me up on Twitter. DFS Jerusalem, at DFS Jerusalem. Get with me. We just gotta swing our way out of the slump, bro. I had a lineup scored 29 points. I couldn't do it again. Charles Jefferson had a lineup that scored 29 points. Oh my god. Yeah, man, this was not a great one for me at all. Not a great one for me at all. But we are going to be coming, of course, from RotoQL. I'm going to blank out their projections as I add the season average projections, just because it's a paid service. I do not want to give away this stuff for free. But I do like the template, the way that they lay out the games. So we're going to go through all 15 of them, where we're going to be talking mostly about pitching, because that is what wins tournaments. Okay, if you can get your pitching right, you'll be fine. And I had a lot of good pitching prospects today. The one spot that really threw me for a loop was the exposure that I did have to Marco Estrada. Now, I did counter that with some Tampa Bay stacks, but it seems like the back of the Tampa Bay order did way more damage than the front of it. And that seemed to be the case in a lot of games tonight. We saw the back order guys really get it in. And anytime you have that, where a lot of times we roster at the front of the orders, it's gonna be tough to make your way to the top of those tournaments. So hey, we have these nights. I wasn't crying last week when I was taking down tournaments, and week before that I wasn't crying then. I ain't crying now. Let's get back into it, okay? James Chess McKnight just jumped in. Mark Davis, what's happening, big homie? So let's go ahead and jump in, kind of dive into the slate as Brad joins us. What's happening, big homie? You had a Minnesota stack, but the front, not the back of the stack. See, that is sickening. Because but we talked about some of those guys. We talked about Rosario. It was like, yo, Rosario is 2.5K. We should jump on him. And it had 0 exposure, bro. We talked about, man, don't play too many of the Washington guys, but you gotta play Zimmerman. You gotta play the other cat who balled out. You gotta play Zimmerman, and you gotta play Murphy. Had no exposure. Had Zimmerman in one lineup, and it was one of the lineups with Estrada in it. So, and pitching, man, I'd rather for sure have pitching that will not get me negative points guaranteed, and I can piece together some bats. That's the way that I'm looking at it from here on out. Urena, very good play. We had Vargas seems to be a decent play so far. You know, Peacock, man, I was all over Peacock. Dude was 7% owned in most tournaments, but I had him paired in some spots with Estrada, and I went very light on Kershaw. Didn't want to play Kershaw. Did not want to play Kershaw today, and I had him in like one lineup out of the 8 that I had. So it was a tough one, but we keep on moving, we keep on swinging. We've got a big 15 game all day slate tomorrow over on DraftKings. Go ahead and check that out. I'm gonna open it up right now. Here we go. I'm gonna open it up right now so we can jump into that. And on FanDuel, I think the same thing. 3 games in the early. But yo, I just left. I just left. I just left out of Derek Pope and Seth Rudnick, man. Andrew Pierce, the Hunter Band Clan. They were chopping it up on YouTube, talking about the PGA Tour, the U.S. Open that's going to be this week, and Hayward hits a jack. We talked about Chicago. You got to start Chicago was what some of you all were saying, and the Cubs hang up 14 runs, but we've been waiting on this Cubs performance for the longest, and they all went off. I saw Addison Russell bang the jack, Rizzo. Let off with a jack. I mean, the Cubs were on fire today, and it was just such a shame that we had guys like Clayton Kershaw to kind of throw us off of those more obvious plays, because a lot of times we were used to taking a look at the higher dollar pitchers, and I do not play them. I usually do not play the higher dollar pitchers. I told everybody, don't play Kershaw. I don't want to play Kershaw, but yeah, hey, it happens, man. So we're gonna jump in now. Of course, we got 15 games in the all day. There's a 3-game early that starts at 3:40. I'm going to be involved in that as well. And then we've got 11 games at 7:05. And this kind of pisses me off, because if you've got 11 games here, why not just have 4 games in the early? Come on, give me some more games, okay? And we got 5 games here in the night at 8:10. We're going to be working, talking about the all-day slate as we, break down the pitching. And we've got some really solid pitching prospects. At the top, you can see you got Corey Kluber at 12.5, guy that can really strike people out. Really great pitcher. You got Johnny Cueto in San Francisco. Now, they're going up against a hot Kansas City team, but Cueto, very decent at the crib. Very decent at the crib. You got Michael Pineda, another strong candidate here. Somebody that we can use. Irvin Santana, who we were on last time, and not many people played him but us. I like that. We got Anderson Volquez against Oakland, who Urena just pitched well against them. Volquez definitely is going to have high confidence going into the slate. He just pitched a no-hitter against the Arizona Diamondbacks, so that was very good. We got Tanner Rourke at 8.7 against Atlanta. Don't really love that. We got Taijuan Walker, Jake Odorizzi, Jason Hamill here, Dylan Bundy, Brandon McCarthy, Julius Chasen, Mike Leake, who I kind of like at 6.8. So we've got a very solid pitching slate that we can use, but it's not that high dollar. It's not that high dollar to where we're just gonna lose track of great bats, okay? Because that's the game. That's the game. They want us to play up for pitching, so we lose track of the bats, and we're not gonna let that happen, okay? We're not gonna let that happen again. So let's go ahead and jump into RotoQL. First game we got on the slate is gonna be the Oakland Athletics and the Miami Marlins. We've got 12-mile-per-hour wind here in the dome. Doesn't really matter. 2% chance of rain, 72% humidity, 84 degrees. You've got now this has Daniel Gossett and Anderson Volquez. I do not think that's who's playing. Let's go ahead and open this up just to be sure. Yes, it is Daniel Gossett. Okay, we got Daniel Gossett and Anderson Volquez. Daniel Gossett being on the mound automatically in the early makes me want to get a piece of some of the Miami bats. We saw the homie Giancarlo Stanton, his first game back, bang a jack last night. You got Volquez at 8.9. That is kind of priced up, but I think we could always take advantage of what the Oakland Athletics do as far as their K rate. They are 4th in the league in K percentage right now, 27.5% K rate. They do have a terribly scary ISO at 186, and the WOBA is 319. So then I'm not afraid to play anybody against them. I play Urena against them. So definitely Anderson Volquez is going to be in play for me against the Oakland Athletics tomorrow, without a doubt. Want nothing to do with the Daniel Gossett guy. Don't even have a lot of information on him. So that's not somebody that I'm going to be taking advantage of here. Well, I am going to take advantage of with some Miami bats. Next game, we got the Cincinnati Reds and the San Diego Padres. The Padres are a different team right now. And you're coming up against Amir Garrett, a guy that can be a Shelly. Look at his last 4 starts, bro. 0.45, -14, -3.5, 1.6, 12.1. This dude should not even be in the league right now. He is pitching so horribly. And, normally I like to attack the San Diego Padres. As you can see, they are the top in the league in K rate, 29.7. But the ISO is creeping up. They are among the league leaders in ISO right now. And I think that definitely tells us that, they're a team that we can play. I'm talking about the Padres are ninth in the league in ISO. So either they're striking out or they're banging jacks. And against a guy like Amir Garrett, man, I think we can depend on them to most certainly hit a couple of home runs tomorrow. I mean, that goes without saying. I take a look at what they do at home. You've got the home ISO over the last 14 days for the Padres is at 155, which isn't very great. The home, let's look at the home wobas here. Again, for the Padres, among the league's worst at 293, among the league's worst in home woba there. But still, man, this is a different team. They made a couple of changes. This is a different squad, man. This is not the same. This is definitely not. This is not the same team, bro. This is different. The Padres, yeah, and the Reds have been pitching horribly. And you look at Amir Garrett, man, and what he does, man. That dude is just not very good. He's not good at all. So I definitely think we can look to some Padres bats. Julius Chasen not in play for me. I think because he has been so bad lately, we can definitely target some of those Reds guys. 24, 16, 9.75, -17 against the Mets. They just went off on them. They teed off on them that game. I think, bats in this game are really going to be in play. Okay? Next time I get the Padres right, we'll be the first. Next game we got is the Kansas City Royals and the San Francisco Giants. Johnny Cueto definitely playable in this spot. 7.5 run total here. 9, 20, 27, 17, and 10. People are not going to want to play Cueto in this spot coming off of that bad performance that he had. But I definitely think he's a guy that you can give consideration to for the simple fact that the Royals are not a very great team, and they've been playing fairly decently over the last couple of games. Pretty disciplined at the plate. 18th in the league in K rate at 21.6%, 181 ISO with a 324 WOBA. So this is going to be a kind of a tough matchup, but I still think we can definitely in that part that is designed for pitching to take precedence. Most certainly, we can see the homie Johnny Cueto having a solid one. Jason Hamill at 7.8 is a guy that does deserve consideration here for the simple fact that the 19 and 24 in his last 2 starts against Houston and Cleveland, 2 very viable offenses. Hamill has held his own against those guys. And you look at what the Giants have done, while they're not a team that strikes out a lot, okay, 19.1% K rate, but a 129 ISO is fairly low with that 321 WOBA. I really think that we can play either pitcher in this spot again, the same way we did last night with Vargas. Okay, so I definitely think that you can take advantage of the pitching in this spot. The next game we're going to talk about is, and those were all the 3 early games. All of those were the 3 early games. The next game is the Atlanta Braves and the Washington Nationals. You've got 21% chance of moderate rain here at 8 mile per hour wind, 83 degrees. So it's going to be pretty hot there in Washington. 68% humidity with a dew point of 72. This game does have a possibility of delaying or raining out. I believe we're going to have Julio Teheran and Tanner Roark. Let's go ahead and check over on DK just to make sure these are going to be the pitchers that we're going to see. Most certainly they are. Now, Roark surprised a lot of people, including me, in his last start. He didn't get shelled, but he only scored 13.3 points. His biggest point total over the last 5 games has been 21, with the lowest being -13. I can definitely see a lot of the Washington bats really getting on his ass this game. So I have no issue playing some Washington guys. Tanner Roark, I don't like to play pitchers against the Braves. They're just a very feisty, scrappy team. Roark let me down last time at 9.1 points at 8.2 K, but he did have 3 decent starts before that. He could be an option, but it's just the left-handers, man. And I think we were a day early on Nick Markakis, man. I kind of like Markakis in the spot at 3.4K. I think he can have a very solid one against Tanner Roark. So that's where we're going to be going there. Now, the first game we have on the On the main slate, this slate jumps off at 7:05, and the first one we got here is the Boston Red Sox and the Philadelphia Phillies. You got Brian Johnson, the lefty, going up against Jeremy Hellickson. I kind of like the fact that Brian Johnson is a left-hander going and playing against the Philadelphia Phillies, man. 42 in that one start, 2.35 against Detroit, and 13.25 against Toronto. He's a guy that does deserve consideration for me. At 6.5K, I think I can get behind them because the Philadelphia Phillies are going to be the Phillies at some point, and I think that could be tomorrow. We look at the Phillies. They are 10th in the league in K rate, 23.5% with a 142 ISO, 293 WOBA. They are definitely an attackable offense. We can do that with the pitcher, Brian Johnson. You got Jeremy Hellickson. He is definitely a guy that can be an early Shelley candidate. So I do like quite a few of those Boston bats in this spot. Have you checked out RotoGrinders' new tool called Plate IQ? It's free and it's very helpful. Yeah, I did. I took a look at it. The homie Samuel, I like the drum, actually put me on that, man. It's pretty decent. I kind of like it. I kind of like it. Mike Trout says he could return from his left thumb injury before the All-Star break. It's interesting. So next game we got the Colorado Rockies and the Pittsburgh Pirates. The Colorado Rockies are building up a reserve of owing me. They owe me so much. Not only did they ruin my parlay today, but I also had a Colorado Rockies stack. And aside from that, I did have some exposure to Blackman in a couple of spots. Zero, bro. Zero from Blackman. That was horrible. We got German Marquez at 6.7 against Chad Kuhl at 4.7. Now Marquez, decent and tough in his few starts, man. 11, 17, 20, 15, 35 against Chicago. So this is a guy that does have upside at 6.7K. He could be priced up just a touch too much. I loved him when he was around 5K. The Pittsburgh Pirates, they have shown that they are not a team that you can just attack any kind of way, man, because they're starting to hit the ball a little bit. And they've been fairly disciplined at the plate. Right now, sporting a 25th ranked 18.9% K rate, only a 138 ISO, but a 337 WOBA here. And it was funny because John Jaso, man, a guy that when he starts and he plays, he can't hit a beach ball. But today, he pinch hits at one at bat, knocks one over the wall. Well, it hit the top of the wall and then fell out. So he hit a jack today to kind of really separate themselves from the Colorado Rockies. So that's just the way DFS is, man, especially MLB. It's tough, man, but it is a grind and one that we are up for the challenge for. So if I had to play a pitcher in a spot, it most certainly would be German Marquez here. I do think this got to be a get right spot. It's got to be a get right spot for the Rockies, man. It's got to be, bro. 15% chance of moderate rain here, 4 mile per hour wind, 80% humidity, and 78 degrees is going to be the temperature. This game again has a possibility of delaying or raining out. The Pirates have been so good lately hitting the ball, man. You can go either way here. Next game we got is going to be the Tampa Bay Rays and the Toronto Blue Jays. You've got Francisco Liriano at 5.8. Liriano is down to 5.8, bro. That is crazy. And I mean, and call me crazy here, Galen Van Zandt. What's up? Call me crazy here, man. But him being priced down to 5.8, being a left-hander against that left-hand heavy rotation of the Tampa Bay Rays at home. Liriano is interesting to me, man, and maybe he might be the trap of the slate. He might be the trap of the slate, but I'm gonna have to get some exposure there. That is just too cheap for a guy that was once that good. You know what I mean? Like the dude he is so cheap. His worst game of the season came recently at the hands of the Cleveland Indians, where they hit him up for negative 14.3 fantasy points. The best start so far was against Baltimore at 26.8, but everybody that has played Baltimore has had their best start against Baltimore. So this is tough, man. And I'm gonna have some exposure to Liriano here. I am. I'm gonna have some exposure to Liriano there. I am. Let's take a look and make sure we have the correct pitching prospects for the slate. Yeah, we got Oda Rizzi on DraftKings at 7.9, and here on QL it says Alex Cobb. So disregard that. This is going to be Odorizzi is going to be starting there. And, this is such a lefty-heavy lineup here. And I think, Liriano does well get pitching against lefties. So I'm gonna definitely give him some consideration. And Odorizzi against Toronto, I like some of the Toronto bats in the spot. That's where I'm going to be headed. The next game we got is the Los Angeles Dodgers and the Cleveland Indians. We got Brandon McCarthy at 7.6 and Corey Kluber at 12.5. Kluber is a very good play. Very good play. I really like Kluber here. 22-35, negative 0.5 against Detroit, 26 against Houston, 44 against the Chicago White Sox. The one thing about Kluber, man, is I think against teams that aren't very good, he really shows out. But when you run up on a squad like the Dodgers, who are resurging and actually have been swinging a pretty decent bat lately, that's gonna make me curb my enthusiasm when it comes to playing Kluber. Like I'm not gonna be 50% or 80% Kluber. He is playable for me. He is definitely playable. I'm gonna hit him with the tag. He's playable, but I'm not gonna go ham. I'm just not. And I really think that the Cleveland Indians are bound to regress. I like Brandon McCarthy in this spot as well. I think both pitchers can be in play here. We've got 1% chance of light rain. The young junior just smashed the jack on an 0-1 count. So the Yankees are in trouble at this point. We got 6 mile per hour wind, 64% humidity here, 78 degrees. So this game should play without incident. I do like a couple of the Indians bats, but I think Brandon McCarthy's a guy that we can take a look at. It's because Tampa touched him up for 8 runs already this year and 3 home runs. Yeah, Eric Young Jr., man, ties it up. Yankees in trouble, bro. Yankees in trouble. So next game we got is the Arizona Diamondbacks and the Detroit Tigers. I don't know what anyone was thinking today when they decided to not play Arizona. Well, some of it comes because, their home road splits and da-da-da-da-da. But bad pitching is bad pitching, man. And Buck Farmer was just not the answer. He was like Bronson Arroyo of yesterday. So Taijuan Walker used to start at 8.2. Against the Tigers, I don't want anything to do with that. I'm more than likely to just, really sip off the batters in this spot. I love to attack Jordan Zimmerman at 4.2, most certainly. We got some righty mashers as left-handed batters for the Diamondbacks here, so I've got no issue playing those guys. The next game we got is the Chicago Cubs and the New York Mets. Mike Montgomery at 5.3 and Matt Harvey. Strike up the band again. You can play some Chicago bats here. I want nothing to do with the pitching on either side of this. I'm good. I'm good everywhere. Again, the only thing that could put Mike Montgomery in play is how much the Mets struggle against left-handed pitching. We know that most of that order, the top of the order specifically, is going to be left-handed guys that have trouble hitting lefties. So I think Mike Montgomery is somebody that you could consider if you're trying to pay up for Corey Kluber and you need another cheap pitcher. Maybe you can rock with him there. There's going to be a ton of cheap pitching on today's slate. I think Harvey is still depressed too. It's coming from Brad Hummus. Yeah, I can dig it. But against the Cubs, nah, I'm good. Yeah, 9-run total is what we have here. And Edwin Neves says he sees a lot of runs here in this game, and I can definitely see why. Next game we got is the Baltimore Orioles and the Chicago White Sox at U.S. Cellular Field. A 10% chance of light rain. The game does have a possibility or delaying or raining out. 10-mile-per-hour wind. We've got 81 degrees with a 69 dew point. Dylan Bundy and Miguel Gonzalez, both guys have been extremely hittable over the last couple of starts. 0.5 against Cleveland, a negative 2.5 for Detroit was what we saw from Miguel Gonzalez. Dylan Bundy, however, 15, 12, 16, 20. He's been one of the more steadier pitchers for the Orioles, man, but they just have not been good. Their entire pitching staff just has not been very good all year long. So I would be more inclined to sip off some of the bats here. Edwin Neves, you are the resident White Sox enthusiast. What do you think about Miguel Gonzalez and his chances against the Orioles order, who has been very bad so far this year, very underwhelming, very disappointing? And what do you think about some of the Chicago White Sox bats against Dylan Bundy in this spot? Would you take a shot at some of the lefties? I really like Yomer Sanchez today. You saw him batting leadoff, and I thought that may be a good area to exploit. He was priced down, I think, about 3.5. Looks good. Yeah, Brad says that the Orioles look like they've given up, and I've got to agree there. Kervin Peralta, the big homie, just jumped in. Salute to you. What's happening, man? Good to see you in the first class here. But This has been a tough going for the Orioles. It most certainly has been. So we're gonna jump into the next game we've got is the Texas Rangers and the Houston Astros. I bet the hard money on Houston today and was sorely disappointed, man. Let down. Peacock was very decent today. Had a really solid innings from him. Just when it started to get away from him, they snatched him out of the game. The guy came in behind him and gave up a quick couple of runs. But today we have Andrew Cashner and Francis Martes is going to be pitching for the Houston Astros. And don't have any news on the Houston Astros pitchers, a 9.5 run total. So that will lead me to believe that you can pretty much play. Right-handed pitcher here. I mean, this dude sucks. Like, 3.5 innings pitched, 4 hits allowed, 4 earned runs, 1 home run, 2 walks, 2 Ks. Like, nah, this dude's bad. He's attackable. Like, we can definitely attack this guy, and I think we can do that with some of those Texas Rangers, especially the left-handed power from the Texas Rangers. Andrew Cashner, another guy that's easily to be attacked here with 12-mile-per-hour wind in the dome. 0% chance of rain, 87 degrees here. You can play some of the Houston bats here as well. Edmund Neves agrees with me that he sees a lot of runs to be had in this game. The next game we got is the Seattle Mariners and the Minnesota Twins. We got Sam Gavidio and Urban Santana. Urban Santana is playable in a spot. I hate paying 10.3 for him, but man, we saw a very great performance from him last time out against the San Francisco Giants. In San Francisco, which is predominantly a pitcher's park. So 36.25 was what we saw from him last time, and nobody wanted to play him at that price. I believe he was priced up very similarly, about 10K or better. No, see, he was 11K, and nobody wanted to play him in that spot. He was so low owned, but I liked him, and I like him again. I think he can play very well against the Seattle. Cashner, the luckiest pitcher in baseball, right? He ain't gonna be so lucky tomorrow because I think the Twins are still gonna be reeling from Houston. I think they're gonna be reeling from the ass whooping they got last night from the Texas Rangers. So I think I do like a few of those Houston guys. All right, so yeah, okay. Christopher Maurice says he doesn't mind the price for Urban Santana. He just his concern is how hot the Seattle Mariners have been so far, and I can definitely get that. We look at them, and the Mariners are toward the bottom half of the league in K rate, 19.9%, 159 ISO with a 360 WOBA, and Mitch Haniger coming back and playing fairly well over the last couple of games has really done a lot for their offense. So they seem to be sort of a different team because we were looking for them for a little while. Like, what is going on with the Mariners? Because the order looked great. They just hadn't been producing, and we've seen them on a slight uptick here recently. But I just like Urban Santana, man. I love how underrated he is as a pitcher, and I like the fact that the price came down from 11K because I was just very uncomfortable playing him while I did play him. Haniger back and Zunino hot makes them 6-7 deep. That's coming from Christopher Marie. Definitely, well, I have to agree with that without a doubt. Next game we got is the Milwaukee Brewers and the St. Louis Cardinals. We got Mike Leake at 6.8. And Matt Garza, I can tell you right now, I do like Mike Leake. There are a few power lefties from the Milwaukee Brewers that I do have concerns about, but Mike Leake does have the stuff, man, to get the ball past some of these guys and rack up a few strikeouts. He hasn't had a negative game, has not been really roughed up the entire season, okay? Now, 9, 15, 27, best start was the second start of the year, 31 against the Washington Nationals. This dude does have elite stuff whenever it's working. And I think, against the Milwaukee Brewers, a team that is third in the league in K rate, 28.6% K rate. Let's check them out on the road and see what they do in K rates on the road. We've got on the road 10th ranked K rate, 23.6% there on the road with a 302 WOBA and a 176 ISO. I think that we can definitely take advantage of some Mike Leake. I kind of like it. Matt Garza, not a guy that I like at all. I will pick on him with a few of those St. Louis bats. I've got no issue there. And when we jump into the first class tomorrow, then we jump into the first class tomorrow, and we get the finalized lineups we are most certainly going to jump into those in detail and at length and really break it down. Now, Didi Gregorius is up to bat against Norris, man, 2-2, top of the ninth. We need Didi to smash a jack real quick so my Yankees can get out of here with the win. Last game on the slate is going to be the New York Yankees and the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. You've got Michael Pineda and Matt Shoemaker. Shoemaker was a guy that I was on the last start. He scored 14.95. Before that, 19.45. And I liked him because the price had come down to about 7K. Well, now we're looking at him at about 6.3. And, this is going to be tough because this Yankees order, man, they can go off at any time. I mean, this is the lowest run total we've seen from them in quite some time, what they're doing now against the Angels. So I don't love Matt Shoemaker, but I will consider playing him if I want to be completely contrarian. You got Michael Pineda here at 11.1 in his last start, 32.15 DraftKings points there. This is going to be his first time seeing them this year, negative 4.5 against Toronto, but 19 and 22. Had a lot of good starts in a row before that Judge. We need Judge to try to hit a dry streak. Yeah, bro, he's getting expensive. He is. The Judge is getting up there, bro. He's gonna be six grand pretty soon. Leading the MLB in home runs and all of that. You know what I'm saying? A little Yankee love. You know what I'm saying? So, oh man, Didi just took a hack and ended up on one knee. Whenever they do that, bro, this is gonna be a strikeout. So either he's gonna hit a jack or strikeout. Pineda is definitely playable, man. 11.1, but see, before I pay 11.1 for Pineda against the Angels, man, I'd much rather just pay down and play Urban Santana. I'd rather do that. So we'll like some of the Yankee bats against Shoemaker. I've got no doubt about that. Pineda, of course, the guy that I'm going to be playing. So let's go ahead and just briefly take a look at the pitching prospects that we know we did like. Okay, Volquez, somebody who jumps out to us at 8.9. Kind of a mid to high level price guy there. Jason Hamill, Johnny Cueto. Anytime you got a game in San Fran, both of the pitchers are going to be somebody to look at. You got Tehran and Tanner Roark. Don't like either one of those guys. You got Brian Johnson, who I kind of like against the Phillies, even though they've been hitting the ball pretty well lately. German Marquez, Chad Kuhl. Marquez is a guy that you could consider here. And we've got Liriano, of course. The guy is just so cheap, man. He's been so good before that I think I may be able to take a shot on him. As a matter of fact, I know I will. And we've got McCarthy and Corey Kluber are both guys that deserve consideration. Nobody in the Arizona and Detroit game I like at all. Mike Montgomery maybe at 5.3 because he's a lefty, and we got to get a little bit more information on him and see exactly how good he can be. 11.4 fantasy points his last start against his only start of the season against Colorado. So Matt Harvey's a no, not at all. No Bundy, no Miguel Gonzalez either. Let me see. Urban Santana, yes, is a guy that I did like. Mike Leake is another guy that I liked, and of course Pineda. So let's go ahead and take a stroll through it. And these are going to be all of my favorite pitching prospects. Taking that initial look, you got Kluber, Cueto, Pineda, Urban Santana, Anderson Volquez, Jason Hamill, Brandon McCarthy, Mike Leake, German Marquez, Brian Johnson, and Francisco Liriano, and Mike Montgomery. So this has been a rough draft look at the first class. Just taking a look at the pitching, seeing where we can invest in pitching. Cano has 6 home runs, 12 RBIs versus Santana. BVP. We do care about BVP here in Sweatshop. So take a look at it. Try to get your pitching down, man. We did that today. I had some really solid pitching prospects. Just could not get the bats. So far, I think Chu and Renfroe might be 100%. Tonight I learned I can't go 100% anybody. Because, man, look at here. But it was a tough one. It was a very tough one. But, we're going to bounce back and we're going to do it. Meet me here at 5 o'clock in the line drive at 5. Once the lineups come out, because a lot of people are doing shows right now and they're talking about, I like this guy, da, da, da. But you never know. You don't know you don't know who's resting. You don't know what the exact batting orders are going to be, and that does play a major role in your lineup selection. So meet me back here at 5. in the line drive. Once the batting orders come out, we can sit down together, break those down. Evan Neve says that's not BBP. That's just straight up owning someone. I can dig it. I can dig it. So yeah, like I was saying, man, just meet me here in the line drive at 5, where we can break things down, man, and really chop it up. This is what we do here in the DFS Sweatshop. I am your host, the DFS Jerusalem. Do not forget to follow me on Twitter at DFS Jerusalem. Signing off. Don't forget, go check out YouTube, man. Dexter Pope 919 on Twitter. He does have a YouTube channel, and they just did some awesome work. The 100 Band Clan was in full effect on YouTube, and they broke down the U.S. Open slate there for you. So go check that out, man. Very solid stuff. Rhino DFS is doing awesome work. Go check him out at Rhino DFS. Shout out to everybody else who's doing the damn thing. Much appreciated to everybody that supports and follows the show. Y'all have a wonderful, blessed, and profitable Tuesday. And I will see y'all in the line drive at 5. The number one thing I want y'all to do is keep it 300. Peace.